I will never sugarcoat adoption. I'm really positive about it, you know, and I'm really grateful, and overall it's just been a beautiful thing. But I think to tell the story of adoption without telling the story of pain is it's an incomplete story, and it's dishonest. Obviously there's loss. Obviously this was the most difficult, painful thing that I think any of us have been through. And it doesn't, you know, I kind of expected a fairy tale. And I placed in a closed adoption because it was 1996 and we were still evolving towards open adoption at that time. And when I connected with him last April at the age of 17, I found that there have been tragic circumstances in his life that no one could have predicted or prevented. And it's not what I anticipated at all, you know? And that has really thrown me. It's been a lot to process. It's been the hardest thing since placement. I'm so glad we found each other. We have a good relationship, and it's a blessing, and it's a miracle that we found each other. And I'm glad we're in each other's lives. It's right. But it's been so difficult. And it's kind of put me at square one in a lot of ways. I've had to reassess some things and redefine some things, but I feel like I was prepared for this. I didn't know what was ahead. I didn't know how things were going to turn out, but I feel like God did. And I feel like that's why I had such a strong, undeniable confirmation at the time, was to prepare me for what was to come. I have experienced disappointment. I have experienced total heartbreak. But at no point has that caused me to doubt my decision. And I told him, when he's telling me all these things and just the difficult time that he's having, I said, I want you to know this doesn't change the way I feel about my decision. And he says, well, you couldn't have known, Tamara. I said, but even if I had, it would have been a harder choice to make, but it was still right. You know, you're where you're supposed to be, for better or for worse. You know, you're theirs and they're yours, however that turned out. And he's got a great family, but just things that have happened that have really had an adverse effect on him and his whole family. And it's just, it's okay that it's heartbreaking, but I haven't lost perspective. I haven't lost faith. I don't, it would break me to go, oh my gosh, I made the wrong choice. Oh my gosh, I put him in the wrong family. He should have had a different life. I just figure my trials and problems were right for me. His trials and problems were right for him. There are no guarantees. When you're born into a family, there are no guarantees. People have strokes, you know? Yeah. It's just, you know, and you, but then you turn the curses into blessings, you know? And that's what I've done in my life. And I tell them, I'm like, this is the beginning of your miracle story. It has to be, you know? So.
Yeah, that's, my adoption started out a lot more open, and then slowly over time went to the more closed side. And that was like really heartbreaking and hard for me to process and deal with. But like Tamara said, I never sugarcoat adoption. I always let people know about the pain and the loss. But then I also say, even it's been 8 years now, and if you were to put me back in that hospital room in front of those papers and said, Haley, this is what's going to happen. Like, you're going to start to lose contact. You're not going to hear about her as much as you want to. All of these things are going to pan out. I still would have put that pen on that paper and signed, because there was no doubt in my mind that this was her family. This is where she needed to go. And bottom line is, this decision was never about me. Yeah, it may hurt me that I don't have that contact with her, but it wasn't about me. It doesn't matter if I'm hurting. It was about her. And for all I know right now, that close contact is what's best for her. I trust her parents with every part of me that they are doing what's best for her. And if that means me not being in the picture right now, that is completely fine with me.
Or they might be making a mistake, and that's what parents do. Yep. You know, sometimes parents make mistakes, but it doesn't mean that they're not the best thing for her ultimately. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, I kind of, you know, life is hard, regardless of adoption. Life is confusing, life is complicated, life is hard, life is disappointing. And you'll get that in any situation in life, in job, in family, in relationships, in career, everything. And adoption is no different. And I trust his parents. They are his parents, and I have 100% trust in them giving him the life that he is supposed to have. And with that comes the peace that whatever difficulties there are in this, that it's okay. And you know, when it gets really hard, I look at the happy, awesome, super cool, smart little guy that he is, and nothing else matters. It is exactly what it's supposed to be. And whatever difficulties there are, they have ended. They are a positive situation because I see him. So if it's hard for me and it's sad for me, it's working for him. And exactly, it's not about me. It never was. It was always about him, and it's working. the adoption is working. The adoption is what it was supposed to be. And if tears on some days, that means that's what it's supposed to be. And life is long. Who knows what's going to happen, you know? And life is long.
It's about the big picture too. I think if at any point with anything in life, if we judge the whole based on the snapshot of this moment, a lot of times we're going to get a bad reading, you know? This is not the outcome, you know? And if I were to base everything based on the snapshot of this moment of Justin at 17, I would be like, oh my gosh, I made a terrible mistake, you know? But there's more, you know? There's so much more involved.
Yeah. But it is hard because you are combining often two completely different worlds, two completely different sets of experiences, places where you come from, hopes, values, dreams, things that are important, and you're blending them. I mean, that's difficult in any realm. It's hard to constantly be in someone else's life. That's hard. It takes work and effort, and to expect anything different, I think, is unfair. But I mean, it is what it is. You're blending two lives to make the best situation of two heartbreaks.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah.
But not easy.
No.
I am really blessed that my son's parents have stayed true to what they agreed as far as contact and all of those things. You know, we have a very strong relationship, and you know, I have other birth mom friends who, you know, their parents have backed off on the contact, you know, your situation, not held up to what they said they would do. And I'm very blessed that I have not had to go through that, you know, and in all honesty, I am probably the one who backs off more. And I thoroughly appreciate that, you know, they respect me enough to give me that space and to allow me to just be where I am right now. And, you know, they can grow and develop in their life, and I can as well, and we can share, you know, a connection, even if it's just in a small way for this time.
You know, in terms of the hard parts, you know, there was a time when I would say, oh, it doesn't hurt anymore. I'm not sad anymore. And then the night before his 14th birthday, I was like, oh my gosh, it hurts. It hurts like it was yesterday. I feel the hole in my body and soul like it was fresh, you know? And I tried to be in denial about that pain. And I think, you know, especially in the beginning, after placement in the grieving process, I tried to dictate to myself what to feel instead of allowing the feelings that the things that need to be processed to come up. Like I would be like, oh, it's not time to be happy yet, you know, when really that's a gift, be happy, you know, or I'd be like, it's time to stop being sad. You know, and I started bossing my emotions around, and the result was I couldn't feel the emotions that they would come as easily, you know? And the thing is, your body and your soul knows what you need to process and what you need to feel, and it all has purpose. And even now, like a few weeks ago, I had an experience where I felt the loss. I felt the loss fresh, but I've learned to just let it happen, to bring it. As long as you're not getting stuck in a moment, like that U2 song, you know, then I think it's whatever you're feeling, feel it, and it's okay. And to me, the pain is part of the beauty. I had depression before I placed my son for adoption. My depression rendered me useless. I wasn't building anything. Nothing was growing. It was a stagnant life. My grief has purpose and meaning. My grief is beautiful because of the fruits that have come from it. And I embrace it. I do. I think it's part of the whole package, and I accept the whole package. And I'm grateful for the whole package.